Hi, I'm Will. I'm a dad, and these are my thoughts. Uh, the border and the war on drugs. The border has been an issue for decades. I'm 45, and I distinctly remember it being a problem in the 1980s. In that time, the tactics to combat the problem, including arresting migrants and coyotes as they crossed the border, arresting migrants at work here in the States, and separating families that have committed no other crime than crossing the border to find a better life. I haven't seen that change really in the last 35 years that I've been paying attention. It's been said that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So I keep hearing that this is the problem, that the people coming across the border is the problem. I don't think it is. I think it's a symptom of the underlying problem. I'm a nurse, so I trained to I'm going to analogize here to being sick. When the body is healthy, there are no symptoms. When the body presents with symptoms, say a fever or an upset stomach, knowing that these symptoms are usually caused by an underlying issue, you can go look for that underlying issue. If illegal migration is not the actual problem but a symptom, what it, is the actual problem? What's the actual cause? When the news talks to these migrants, they tell us exactly what caused them to leave their homes and walk hundreds of thousands of miles. I mean, these people are, that's a lot of walking. But why would they do that? The answers are really simple. They're running away from gang violence. They're running away from corrupt governments who are trying to jail them for bogus reasons. And they're running away from places that have zero work and are incredibly dangerous. I think that pretty much is the reason. I think that tells us what's going on. Gangs, corruption, lack of employment. What's the root cause of these things? Um, I think it's the gangs running the drugs. Um, the gangs running the drugs from South America to North America. The corruption is mostly due to the drug gangs paying off or threatening elected officials. Lack of employment and dangerous living conditions come from, again, the gangs who are running drugs and terrorizing the population. The war on drugs began in 1971 when Nixon, in an attempt to prevent Negroes and hippies, I mean, that's a quote, Negroes and hippies, from voting. And I'm not joking. Um, CNN, there was an interview with one of Nixon's people who was still alive in the early mid 1990s. And when he was asked why did Nixon decide to have a war on drugs, he literally said that it was to keep the Negroes and the hippies from voting. The easiest way to disenfranchise someone is to make them a felon, and starting the war on drugs was the easiest way to disenfranchise by felony Negroes and hippies. Negroes, I can't believe I keep saying this word. People of color traditionally in this country have had issues with heroin. It's been problematic in a lot of other communities, but at the time of this being started, it was heroin for the African American community. It was marijuana for the Latin American community and for the hippies. And if you make these things felonies that never were before, now you've created an entire cadre of people who have lost all of their rights. They can't vote, they can't participate, they can't be on juries, they can't do anything in the body politic. That's why Nixon started the war on drugs. So the war on drugs has cost us more than $1 trillion. Trillion. I think it's time to admit that we've lost the war on drugs. Heroin, I live just about 30 miles from downtown Chicago. Heroin's cheaper now than it was when the war on drugs was started. It's cheaper and easier to get a hold of. It's not hard. I'm again a registered nurse. I've done a lot of detox work with the heroin addicts, and they're getting high for $4 or $5 a shot. It's not expensive. It really isn't. So it's time to think we admit that we lost the war on drugs. Heroin is cheaper now than it was before the war on drugs. A baggie of heroin costs less than a McDonald's value meal. I mean, have you seen the price of the McDonald's value meal recently? Besides being, in my humble opinion, the root cause of the vast majority of the unwanted migration, the war on drugs has also given us the largest prison population in the world. By raw quantity and by percentage of the population, we outdo China, we outdo North Korea, we outdo everyone. We like locking people up. It's an American pastime, it seems. Uh, it's also been incredibly expensive, not to mention the militarization of the police and the rise of gang violence here at home. Besides the fact that the war on drugs has worked exactly designed by Nixon and his cronies, it has done nothing to actually improve society, and maybe we should stop it. Study after study has shown what does work. Don't penalize people for possession as long as they aren't driving or putting others in danger by being intoxicated. It's not the government's business. Address the underlying cause of the drug addiction. No one wakes up and decides to try heroin. It's not a thing. People don't just go, "Ooh, I'm going to stick a needle in my vein today and try heroin. It sounds like so much fun." No one does that. Come on. Life has to be pretty bad for someone to get to the point where they're injecting heroin. If you can help prevent people from having a horrible life, then they're happier, they have better jobs, they pay taxes, and they're not a drain on the system. Seems kind of a win to me. But so let's look at the underlying causes of drug addiction. Uh, Pay is garbage. Again, I'm a registered nurse. 10 years ago, I was making $35 an hour. My costs have almost doubled in that period of time. My pay has gone up by roughly $10 an hour. So, yeah, pay sucks. Middle class no longer exists. The last statistic I heard, it was $165,000 to be in middle class, and I am half of that, about. And yeah, so I am, I guess, the working poor. Uh, Housing is insanely expensive. People are renting. I've been in my house for 15 years, got incredibly lucky. People are paying for a one-bedroom apartment what I pay for my house. It's crazy. It's not right. Price gouging is costing us billions. General Mills, Procter and Gamble, they're all jacking prices up and reducing volumes and quantities sold because they can. There's no rules to tell them they can't. Healthcare will literally bankrupt someone who is otherwise financially stable. Again, I'm a registered nurse. Patient who is financially literate, saves 10-20% of their paycheck every month, is ahead on all their bills, has money put aside as savings, is investing, doing everything right. They get hit by a car crossing the street, car doesn't have insurance, oh well, and they're now paralyzed and they're bankrupt. And they lose their house and their car and their job and everything. That's not right. Medically assisted detox and maintenance treatment has been proven to work. It doesn't work every time with every person, but it works far better than any other options for heroin and alcohol abuse. A vast number of the homeless are also addicts. Again, I know this firsthand. I'm a registered nurse. I've done a lot of emergency room work. I've done a lot of psychiatric work. I've done a lot of detox work. I know these people. Okay, a vast majority of them have mental health issues that they're trying to self-medicate with the street drugs. Living in a tent on the side of the road sucks. It's miserable. Studies have shown that if you literally give a person a place to live with dignity, things get better. Addicts have a much easier time getting clean. People, if you have a safe place to sleep, it's whole lot easier to do everything. If you have a place to take a shower, if you have a place to lock up your stuff, if you have a place, if you don't have a place to lock up your stuff, it's kind of hard to, take your shopping cart full of stuff to go look for a job. People look down on that. If you, let me tell you, people who've been on the streets for weeks and weeks and months at a time between showers, they don't smell good. People don't want that walking into a job interview. You got to give people a place to start from. The vast majority of these addicts have underlying mental health issues. what we do now, the care we provide through these patients is no more than a band-aid. It's a joke. It doesn't do anything. Actually, providing actual psychiatric care and continuing treatment with therapy and medication works, but homeless people can't afford it because healthcare in this country is insanely expensive when every other civilized country has figured out how to do it affordably, tax funded. So, my thoughts on how to fix the problem. In the Marine Corps, did 8 years in the Marine Corps. I was always taught that if you're going to complain about something, you darn well better bring a solution, and I'm bringing solutions. First, end the drug war. Kill it. It's over. It's done. Stop giving legal penalties for possession and use. If someone is caught with heroin or fentanyl or whatever and they're using it, just confiscate it and let them go on their way. It's just don't ruin someone's life for having for having a bad life to begin with and just trying to survive. Legalize marijuana. Seriously, it's so much less dangerous than alcohol. It's less dangerous than everything. I've zipped up more body bags from patients suffering from alcohol problems and heroin issues. I've never zipped up a patient who died from marijuana, ever. When someone is caught with drugs, you offer them a right to treatment, not jail. Treatment is so much cheaper and way more effective than locking people up and making their already miserable lives worse. We have to decide what drugs we're going to allow. Marijuana, yeah, obviously. Of all the drugs, it's the least physically and psychologically dangerous of them all. Is it perfect? No. Is anything perfect? No. Is marijuana safer than alcohol? In every capacity or way, yes. Is marijuana safer than heroin? Yes, in every way. So marijuana needs to be legalized. This is just problematic and cutting off our nose to spite our face at this point. Cocaine. Honestly, I think if done right, I think you could figure that one out. There are enough people who party with cocaine on the weekends. I think that could be worked out. And next would be heroin. And I think with the prescription to manage an already present addiction, I think that could work. You'd be surprised how many 80-plus-year-old functional heroin addicts I've taken care of in my time as a nurse. You would be amazed at the number of people who go work a 9 to 5, come home and do their bump of heroin and enjoy their evening. It's surprising. It's out there. You would not believe it, but it's there. Yeah. So if we give these medications, if these medications are given through a pharmacy, they're a known quantity, you treat them as medications, not street drugs, there's no stigma with it, they're getting a medication that is safer. None of these drugs is safe perfectly, but neither is Tylenol. So let's make it as safe as we can. If we can't fix the problem, maybe we can minimize the effects. Meth, no, just no meth, no. Nothing synthetic either, just no. In America, we've decided that perfection is the goal, and any result other than perfection is unacceptable. We have to learn that the relentless pursuit of perfection is the enemy of improvement. We need to produce the drugs here legally in the United States. We can grow the poppies here. That's easy for heroin. We can grow the coca plants here. That's easy. The South is tropical. They can grow coca plants for cocaine there. Marijuana is literally a weed. It grows like a weed. We can grow all of it here. And if we grow it here, we cut off the supply of money going to the gangs in Central and South America. So that's what happened during Prohibition. Something about the past being prologue. We enacted the prohibition against alcohol, and we took these small local gangs in the cities that were doing small time things, running gambling and prostitution, and we gave them this giant market for importing alcohol, which everyone was going to drink, and all it did was create more crime and create more problems, and a lot of those problems went away when they legalized the alcohol. Why didn't we learn that lesson? Um, yeah, we've got to stop the insanity. We've got to change tactics. This can't last. We can't do this forever. This is the war on drugs is it's lost, and we need to stop fighting it because it's killing more people for no reason.